Have you ever had a struggle performing a U-turn? Maybe you have a really heavy bike which just feels about to tip over. Maybe your U-turns end up a bit too wide for your taste. Or maybe you just don't feel very confident and in control while turning a motorcycle. If so, make sure you are not making one of those very common mistakes, which we will be discussing today. Let's see all 5 of them, plus at the end of this video I'll share one little secret which most of the other instructors won't tell you. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, join my OnlyFans, and now, when I've got your attention, you can also check out my courses for beginner and advanced riders. Also subscribe to my newest and most advanced King of the Road course, which will completely transform the way you ride your motorcycle. In just 9 weeks, you will go through more than 40 exercises, each one tailored to train a specific skill. All those skills we learn in this course are crucial to anyone who wants to be a safe and confident motorcycle rider. With the King of the Road course, you will turn into an excellent rider in a span of just 9 weeks. So, go on and subscribe. The link will be in the description below. First on our list is using the front brake. Here is how it usually happens. For a lot of riders, the go-to instinct in any confusing situation is to brake. And I wouldn't say it's completely wrong instinct. However, in this particular situation, when we are going through a U-turn, grabbing the front brake usually results in a tip over. And if we need to brake here, we better use the rear brake. The front brake is normally much stronger than the rear one. Rear brake is this tiny disc, and the front one is not only 2 times bigger, but frequently there are 2 of them. More so, when we slow down, regardless of which brake we use. The weight of our bike goes from rear to front, so when we brake, the front brake becomes stronger and the rear one weaker. At slow speed, if we apply the front brake even just a tiny bit too much, our nose dives down and we instantly lose all our speed and drop the bike. If you want, you can even try it yourself with this really simple exercise. You don't even need to start the engine. Walk your bike, turn the handlebars left and apply the front brake. You'll immediately feel how your bike wants to tip over. Just be careful and don't drop it. To be fair, we still can use the front brake if we are really careful, but we have to be much more gentle. Rear brake is just much easier to control at slow speed, which is why it's a better idea to use it. Even if we apply it too much, we'll get a little slide like this. And that's it, no big deal. Next very common mistake is relying on our legs too much. In this case, the U-turn looks somewhat like this. Rider sticks his feet out with the intention to catch the bike if it starts to tip over. And it works to a degree on a small, lightweight bikes, but it is useless with big ones. Our legs are simply not designed to support 600-pound adventure bikes and 800-pound cruisers. Good thing is we don't actually need to support our motorcycle with our legs, otherwise bikes would probably look somewhat like this. Our motorcycle is a self-stabilizing system, and all we have to do is to know how to use it. As long as our bike moves forward, it stabilizes itself, it can't fall. So, when our bike starts to tip over because of going too slow, all we have to do is to increase our speed for a moment. On normal bikes, it is done with the so-called friction zone of the clutch, when we keep our throttle slightly opened and use our clutch to accelerate or slow down. Once you feel you are about to tip over, just release the clutch a little bit and your bike will immediately stand up. You can learn more about the friction zone on my channel. It is an incredibly powerful tool for riding at slow speeds. You definitely want to learn it. On automatic DCT bikes, you can achieve the same effect with a combination of your throttle and rear brake. Keep your throttle slightly open and adjust your speed with the rear brake. To slow down, apply a bit more brake, and as soon as you start losing your balance, release the brake and your bike will accelerate and stand up. By correctly using the friction zone of your clutch or throttle and brake combination in case of an automatic bike, You can keep your balance and turn without putting your feet down at any speed you want, regardless of how big is your bike and how much it weighs. Sometimes, instead of learning how to use the clutch correctly, riders try to cheat and just make their U-turns faster, relying on faster speed to keep their bike in balance. That's okay in certain situations, but this method has two major flaws. First, it is dependent on pavement quality. If we try to do our U-turn really fast, to keep it compact, we have to lean our bike really fast. It is okay on dry, clean pavement, but if we, let's say, hit a patch of sand or some rough spot or simply make a mistake and lean a bit too much, we are going to find our bike lying on the floor. When going slow, using the friction zone and keeping our bike more vertical, we can no longer worry about pavement. We can turn on wet surfaces, on sand or gravel, it doesn't matter. We have more control over our balance. This control also allows us to stop and abort the U-turn at any moment. If for whatever reason in the middle of a U-turn we change our mind, we can just stop like this at any moment. With higher speed and bigger lean angle, we can't just stop suddenly. This is the second flaw of this method. So, don't try to cheat, learn how to use your clutch properly. It's important. Before we move on to the next mistake, I have an advertisement to make. Don't worry, this is not about some cheap Chinese crap YouTubers usually promote. This is actually something really cool. A lot of you guys asked me what's this shirt I'm wearing where I'm riding. This is a base thermal layer from a company called Ultramaxcell. It's a Russian company and I have been their ambassador there for more than 3 years. Now they finally managed to find their way on Amazon. And guys, I'm almost jealous that you can try this stuff on for the first time. Because this is not just simple base layer, and this pattern is not a mere print. This shirt is made of special polypropylene yarn, arranged in a 3D honeycomb structure. And it's incredible, because it actually manages to achieve two seemingly opposite things. It keeps you warm in a cold environment and cools you down in the heat. Here's how it's done. When it's cold, these honeycombs retain more air around our body, keeping us warm. When it becomes hot and we start to sweat, we have very good evaporative cooling from the larger surface, which evacuates and quickly evaporates water from our skin. In addition, as you can see, the shirt is compressive, it fits snugly everywhere on our body, which means it works effectively on each section of our skin. To put simply, this stuff is superior to normal base layers, like they are superior to simple cotton t-shirts. Once you try this, you will never go back. It works equally well in Altai mountains or on peak Elbrus in piercing winds in -35 and in Atacama Desert in 40 degrees plus. This is a real premium piece of gear, check it out, I'm sure you're gonna love it. Next mistake is not using our head and eyes properly. If you try to turn your head very far during a U-turn and almost look behind your back, your U-turns instantly will become better. But why is that so? There is a very common explanation that you can hear from almost every instructor, which tells you that your arms just naturally follow your head and eyes, and therefore your bike follows your vision. That's not entirely correct. Here is the demonstration, which shows it. As you can see, I can easily turn my head one way and my bike will not follow. Of course, my bike is not a sentient being with telepathic abilities. It has zero idea about what I'm looking at. There is a much simpler explanation. The reason why in this particular situation I can look one way and go another is because I already know for certain what I have under my wheels, that I have enough space, there is nothing in my way, etc. Normally, I can't just know all this without looking at it first. So I have to turn my head and look at my line before I make my U-turn. And if I turn my head really far, look and plan my line in advance, my brain will have all the necessary information to make this U-turn flawlessly. If I am lazy and look under my front wheel, my brain will have to calculate my line on the fly, which is far more challenging task. And that's it! It has nothing to do with my arms naturally following my head. That's not the case. It's just in this situation my brain has enough visual input to plot the line correctly. And here it has to readjust each second. It's that simple. So, remember to turn your head really far. Force yourself not to look down no matter what. Turn your head, plot the line, and only then commit to the U-turn. And another thing which goes hand in hand with our head and eyes is the line itself. Be mindful of where exactly your bike goes during the U-turn. Use all the available space. Here is an example. Let's say I want to perform a U-turn in this space. It's rather tight. If I just start turning in a random place, I will run out of space. So, what I have to do is to use all available space. Now, I am planning to place my front wheel as close to the edge as possible. And now, I have all the space available for me, and I can easily fit my bike. No problem. This is tied down to how I use my head and eyes. Like we already discussed, I look and plot my line in advance, and then just execute it. Those were 5 mistakes which riders often make during U-turns. And I also promised you a little secret mistake, which is rarely talked about. It can royally screw up your U-turns, and the most interesting thing is that it is not even related to our riding skills. And this mistake is very common. I can bet that even some of you guys are doing it. Remember that in the video about self-steering we discussed how the front wheel always corrects itself and provides stability for our bike. And we have to keep our arms pretty loose and relaxed to give enough freedom to the front wheel. All this goes straight into the bin when our front wheel doesn't have enough air pressure in it. When the front tire is underinflated, our handlebars will just dive inside the turn, forcing us to manually keep them from turning too much, which messes up our U-turns completely. So, get yourself a small air pump like this one and just make yourself a habit to check your tire pressure each time you go for a ride, and if necessary, to pump it up a little bit. Our tire pressure always changes itself either due to temperature change or due to minor air leaks. Don't think it will stay the same for months just because you don't have a couple of nails in your tire. Check the air pressure regularly. Your tires will live longer and your bike will behave much better. On this positive note, it is time to finish this video. Subscribe to the channel and check out my courses to become a safer and more confident rider. See you soon. Bye!